Okay, and here's a marker.
We are high-fiving.
We are high-fiving, and we are here.
Here we
with
are.
our friend Juli.
Hi.
Our new friend Juli.
On your left.
You're listening to Doc Walks with Ben and Keith.
That's right. And Juli, we are getting to know you through our producer Dayton.
Absolutely.
And I know that you are a science writer
That's true too.
who has been both the subject of a documentary and is making a documentary.
All true. Yes.
All true? Did I
All
do? Is that a good setup?
Yeah, sure.
Scientist, science writer, best-selling book author, nonprofit foundation starter.
Yeah, I
That's
guess that's correct.
That's a lot to fit on a business card.
It's a lot. Yes, but I'm old, so it's okay. I've had time.
What do you say at a dinner party when somebody says, "Hey, Juli, what do
What
you
do you do? That's a good. I usually just say author.
Oh, okay.
But you're right. No, it's probably time for me to kind of expand that a little bit. Sometimes I say I'm a marine biologist, and
Well, that's where you started. Is that
yeah,
correct?
that's where I started.
Okay.
That's where I started. I got my PhD in ocean science at USC, California, and that was at a time it was kind of appropriate for a dock walk. But I would, go to parties and people would be like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I'm a marine biologist." And people would be like, "Oh, you don't have an agent?" And they would just kind of walk away from me.
Yeah, in Los Angeles, I could see that
Totally.
being met with some blank stares.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was hard. But I did finish up that. And then I met my husband and he was like, "Let's move to Texas." And I said,
Why? Why?
Ocean, let's move to Central Texas.
like, well, 500 million years, there'll be another one.
That's right. That's right. The ocean. Anyone knows in Central Texas, if you dig in the dirt, you're gonna find fossils.
Exactly. So we did, and I actually moved. I had a postdoc, and I was supposed to go to Santa Barbara with it, but I ended up going to UT with it, and I was pretty miserable, to be honest. So
Really?
yeah, because what I worked on was satellite imagery of the ocean, and I was looking at how much photosynthesis. Oh, this is really getting nerdy. Is that okay? Do you want me to go in a
Tell you what,
different direction?
we're ready to get nerdy, but let's do it after
Okay.
we play the music.
Play the music.
Run the promo.
Credits, yes.
And now we're dock walking.
All right, let's get nerdy, Juli.
Seriously? Okay, I'll do it quick and I'll do it easy. So
The best way to nerd.
yeah, exactly. So what I was looking at was how much photosynthesis was going on in the ocean,
Okay.
because we already knew climate change was an issue, and photosynthesis takes carbon dioxide, mixes it with water and light, makes sugar. And so we wanted to know how much carbon dioxide was coming out of the atmosphere from the ocean. And we finally had satellites that could help us do that. So that's what I worked on.
Wow.
But and it turns out, I know you're waiting with bated breath for the answer.
How much? How much is
How
this?
much?
11.
30%. 30% of the carbon dioxide we've emitted from burning fossil fuels is taken up by the ocean.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Climate change would be 30% worse
Yeah.
if we didn't have the ocean doing that for us.
And vacation would be 100% worse if you didn't have the ocean.
Vacation would be 100% worse.
We've run
That's
the numbers.
true.
Keith has done the
Are you a
math.
beach vacation kind of guy, Keith?
I often am, yes.
Are you? Yeah, it's good.
I mean,
I
I
love
like
that.
to vacillate between the oceans and the mountains,
Right.
but
Right.
even the mountains like to know that the ocean is there.
Correct. And a lot of mountains
This
used to
got
be
deep
ocean.
fast.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I brought my postdoc to Texas, but everything here was about land subsidence. Satellite imagery was around land subsidence from digging oil up,
Okay.
pumping oil up,
Sure.
I don't think I've ever heard the word subsidence before.
Subsidence?
What does that mean?
sinking.
Oh.
Yeah, you're right. It's a silly, fancier word that's unnecessary.
No, I just wanted to
No,
know what it
you're
meant. I think it's necessary.
Keith just actually doesn't know a lot of big words.
Yeah. Sinking.
Sinking.
Sinking I'm down with.
Yeah. So, because you pump out the oil, the land sinks, subsides.
Right.
Okay, so anyway, it was really
I'm following you, Julie. I can't speak for Keith, but it's okay. I'll
the
translate.
stories. Anyway, so I was pretty miserable because I wasn't interested in that, and I became a writer. I rolled off the science track, and I started writing, and then I was a writer for 20 years.
Well, you not only became a writer, from what I read about you, is that you started mixing science and personal memoir
Yeah.
in a pretty novel way. Is that right? So did that happen right away, or was that something you came to eventually?
So, yeah, initially I started writing. I worked for this small company in Austin, which was a textbook company called Think Well, which still exists.
Okay.
And at the time, we were making textbooks on CDs, like, honestly. And it was so cool.
At a time when people had CD players.
A time when people had, yeah, I guess, CD players in their computer. You know, you'd slide them into the side of your computer.
Right.
So the whole textbook was visual. So we would go into the studio and we would shoot a professor giving a lecture, a 10-minute lecture on a topic.
Yeah.
And then we'd have animators animate the lecture. And then we would have text running underneath, kind of like vocabulary words or key phrases or whatever it was, you know.
Like
And
pop-up
so-
video.
Yeah. So the textbook had all these different ways of learning integrated into it.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
it was so much fun because I was working with designers, I was working in a studio with directors and, you know, audio engineers and
Right.
lighting. You know, we were doing this whole thing to make these.
So it was like a type of, you were edging your way into production, essentially.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It's
it
like
was.
a type of documentary
It
production.
was, yeah. And it was my first experience with that. And what I discovered, I was the writer, a lot of times the content editor, and I would have to fit. Oh yeah.
One second, sorry. Let's go this way, because I have a spot that my kids love that's over here on the water.
Yeah.
That I want to take you to, and then you can explain to us what's going on below the surface. So
Okay,
how about
let's
that?
do that.
Okay.
But what was really cool about it was that I learned how to write like with the smallest number of words possible because I didn't have very much space. And so
right.
I learned, that was my training in writing, was like, how do you say something complicated without using any extra words or complicated words like subsidence, which takes up more space than sinking.
Right.
And it was a really awesome way to learn how to write better, I think.
What I'm curious
Yeah.
about is when you are getting started and you're throwing yourself into the science of photosynthesis in the ocean and those kind of big questions, at what point does the idea of learning this stuff and taking it in for yourself and become projecting it out and explaining it to others? Is there a moment where there's a transition in that process, or is it, or am I looking at it wrong?
I think that's a really cool question because I think
Oh, that's going to get her.
Coolest.
See, we're going to hear.
We started talking some nerdy stuff and now we're into the cool stuff, and that's kind of why I come to these things. Sorry.
so good that you're here. I'm so happy. Yeah, so I think it's pretty interesting with the photosynthesis question because a lot of that was, okay, I'll confess I was a math undergrad. And so
Wow.
a lot of that stuff was math. It was a lot of just algorithms that we were writing. And there was something I thought was really like cool and secret about that I could write this language that other people couldn't understand, or it was almost like a perfect language because math is so sort of perfect in its way. But then you get done with this dissertation that like 6 people in the world understand.
Right.
And I realized like I do have a very introverted side and I like to be quiet and think about things.
Right.
But also I like people too, you know, like I want to connect with people, and there is an energy you get from that I wasn't getting as a scientist.
Right.
So yeah, I think I think you have to figure out that balance for yourself somehow.
That energy exchange, I think, is, it's the root of what makes documentary and all nonfiction storytelling, takes it out of the educational sphere, right? Which is
Exactly.
like a one-sided transmission and makes it a two-way.
Yeah, that's a really good way to say that. And I think that goes back to the earlier question that we were talking about, which is like, how did my writing go from being straight up like educational to being what it is, which is kind of science mixed with memoir?
Yeah.
And part of that answer is that I had been asked to write. I was working for Thinkwell, and I got pregnant, and then I got laid off during my maternity leave.
That's not legal.
It was really hard.
Oh man.
I know. But what happened was a lot of my friends also got laid off. There was a big tech bubble burst.
Yeah.
And so I just became freelance at that point. And I was writing for lots of people, and I got the opportunity to start writing for National Geographic through a friend. And that was amazing.
Yeah, that's not a small opportunity.
It was
that's
really,
huge.
It was luck, but also great. And I had an editor there who liked what I was writing, and so I wrote for them for a while, which was wonderful. When I wrote these little pieces for the front of the magazine, which I was really good at because I was good at writing little pieces for the, textbooks too.
Right.
Except for they were a lot more fun to write because I could put in a fun lead.
Let's go this way, across the bridge.
Okay.
I could put in a fun kicker. I could tell a little story. It was much more fun to write.
And this is National Geographic encouraging you to do that, like bringing some personality to it.
Tell a little story in 150 words.
For the magazine, for the hard copy.
Front of the magazine, yeah.
Yes.
The front.
Cool.
Those first few pages were like, it's a picture. It's really image driven, and then there's like a little bit of writing.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. This one photographer started to like my writing too, and he was writing a book, and he said, "Juli, will you write the text for this book?" And I was like, oh my gosh, my dream came true, because I've always been a huge reader, and I got so excited. And the book was called 1 Cubic Foot, and it was about taking a cubic foot and setting it in 6 different ecosystems around the world, and taking a photograph of everything in that 1 cubic foot. It's a really cool concept.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So,
are you familiar with the Eames work?
no.
Okay, so Charles and Ray Eames were a married couple, and they're famously known as designers, the Eames chair.
Yeah, I know the Eames
for
chair,
example.
for sure.
That's them.
Yes.
They also made films, and there's this one film called
10 by 10,000?
Yes, The Power of
Power of 10.
Oh, I know that film.
Yeah, where
That's
it's
a
like
great film.
it starts with a couple
Yes.
having a picnic on a blanket,
For sure.
and it goes 10 feet out,
100
feet out,
1,000
feet out,
Yeah.
and it's pretty soon you're in outer space, and you're looking at planets and clusters,
Yes.
and then it goes the other way and zooms in.
And you see molecules.
And you see molecules that look the same as the planets and
Yes.
clusters. So it
It's
sounds like a version
brilliant.
of that idea
Yeah,
that you're
so-
describing.
Anyway, the first one was a coral reef, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna write the hell out of this. Because I love, coral reefs were always my kind of thing. And I wrote, and it was about Moorea, where I had actually been before in Tahiti. And I was like, I just wrote my heart. And then I didn't get edits back, and I was like, what's going on here? And finally I hear from the editor, not the photographer, that I had been fired.
Oh!
I know.
Because you got pregnant.
No. No, because I wasn't famous enough.
Oh.
I know.
Wait,
right?
like who? Now I gotta know, like, who's.
I got Elizabeth Kolbert to write it.
See, that's not even famous to me.
Yes.
No.
Elizabeth Gilbert?
Kolbert. She wrote The Sixth Extinction, and she's a New Yorker writer. She's a regular New Yorker writer. So she is more famous, for sure. But anyway, but what it made me feel was, okay, I really want to write a book.
Yeah.
Because I'm so pissed off right now.
There you go.
know?
That's right.
Lit a
Like,
fire.
Yeah,
I like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is my kind of creativity. It's like led on by retribution and a need to.
Grievance.
I'm
Yeah.
not a very retributional person, or what.
You don't
I
seem like
have-
that, no.
But it's
Teeth,
not-
on the other hand.
But when it happens, I think it happens in a big way.
We can go down this way.
This
Take a
way, okay.
leisurely.
Can we just stop for a second? I know, like,
Yes.
I'm very excited to hear your story and to hear these different steps.
Okay.
But I also want us to stop and acknowledge where we are. So it's, and even what it is, we kind of jumped right into the conversation. So we're what we always refer to as the Lamar Footbridge, which I think has a name, but we don't know it.
I think that's
I think it's the Lamar Footbridge.
I think so.
It's got to be. It's named after some old white guy. They've stuck his name somewhere and you don't know it. And
But
it's
a
like
friend of mine who's
Lawrence Shoal Creeker.
But wait, I want to say this. A woman who I know designed this bridge.
Talk to us about that one.
Kalpana Sutaria, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Awesome.
And she's super involved in climate change issues, actually.
See,
Thank
so
you.
why did it have
Yeah.
to be some old white guy?
So,
a
yeah,
woman
so
designed the bridge. Who
woman-
cares about climate change? This
Well, no, they slapped some old white guy's name on Hana Sutcaria's bridge.
Yeah.
And I'm
Lamar. I think this is Lamar Street Footbridge.
okay, Mr. Lamar, Marabou Lamar. That's who we named it after. He's a real
He's not.
He's a real piece of work, let me tell you. Don't look too closely into Texas history,
I think
folks.
you're right about
Yeah.
that.
We're going to drop in notes Ben mentioned, but we're also going to drop in our notes something about your friend, one more time, her name is?
Kalpana Sutaria.
Kalpana Sutaria and her great work on the
Who
Lamar
designed the
Footbridge,
bridge.
which we love walking over because when we were walking over it, we get this great view of downtown, which is right over there,
Yep.
and we get to walk across the Colorado River, which dammed up in the town of Austin. Is formerly called Town Lake. It is now called Ladybird Lake, named after, of course, Lady Bird Johnson.
Yep.
And this is just really one of the best places in town to walk, and it's one of the best places to have a dock walk. I know I've interrupted what was a great flow.
No, I think
But-
it's really a special place, and seeing water, feeling water around us, like that's good for us, no
Yeah.
matter what.
Absolutely. Well, and as somebody who studies the ocean and coral reefs, I don't know that you know a ton about this, but when you look out here, what do you see? Like, what are you thinking about?
Well, I'm thinking about the fact that it doesn't look as dirty as it usually looks, to tell you the truth. This place can get really gross, but it's also like so beautiful right now, and there's there's ducks. I don't know if they're migrators or not, swimming in the water. We look down, we can see some plants growing. Base of the food chain, there's probably some fish swimming in there. And yeah, we're just so lucky that this is in the center of our town.
We really are.
That's right.
Yeah.
We really are. This is one of the perks about living in Austin.
Totally.
This is,
Such a special place.
a 15-minute drive from my house. I get to come walk around here and bring my kids and
Totally.
talk with new friends.
We could also talk about how it hasn't rained in months now, and water is definitely going to be one of the things that we struggle with in Texas going forward, but we don't need to go there if we don't want to. So,
I mean,
let's.
we can
Water
get into all of
issues
it.
are massive
Yeah.
problems, but right now let's just enjoy how pretty it is and
Yeah.
these cool low clouds and the beautiful.
Actually, I'm glad that you brought that up, right? Because you were like, we could get heavy and dark and into what's wrong looking out here. But one of the things, I've watched your short documentary. It's called The REBEL REEF. It's a very hopeful
Yeah.
documentary. And I think a lot of times people assume that when they watch a documentary, it's talking about what's wrong. And
Right.
pointing out all the negatives without offering a suggestion for how to improve things or be inspiring and encourage people to make change. And one of the things I really liked about your movie, in addition to how well made it is and beautifully shot, is that it ends on this hopeful note. There actually is some coral reef coming back alive and species repopulating, and there is a chance. And so
Yeah.
I always find that to be much more illuminating than it is the other way, and focusing on the negative. So
Thanks
glad
for
you did
seeing
that in
that.
your game.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, that is why this reef is interesting and important.
yeah. And
because
so
there
for our
is that.
listeners, just tell us what reef we're talking about here.
Well, let's hit the road again, and then we'll switch into talking about Rebel Reef. I have something I want to talk about when it comes to that film too. But let's talk about Ben's question.
So basically what happened was, I'm just going to kind of go back on the trajectory I was on for just a second.
Yeah, please.
Because I think it goes up the story. So I decided to write a book, and I started reading a lot of nonfiction books, and I would read them and be like, holy shit, I can never, can I say that? Okay.
All the time.
Okay. I can't write a book like that. And I would put it down on my nightstand and be like, God damn it, and then I would read another one, and finally one night I put down one of those books and I was like, I can't write a book like that.
And what was it you were reacting to?
I think it was a lot of these science books are written by men, and there's this like kind of patronizing part of the language, or like I know everything piece of the language that I found really unsatisfying to read. And so I realized, I can only write a book with a really feminine voice that has a lot of questions and wonder and confusion in it, because that's just who I am. And so once I was like, I can't write a book like that, it freed me to write a book where I mix in all the things I'm thinking about and sort of memoir with my science, and use the science as a metaphor for some of the things that are going on in my life and amplifying those themes.
Aren't questions, wonder, and confusion kind of what brings people to science in the first place?
I think so, but I think when you come to write a book about it, you're saying, I've solved these problems. And that's a little boring, right?
I love that. So rather than being the expert on the topic, you approached it as, I'm
The explorer.
going to learn about this in real time.
Exactly, and I'm going to bring you with me.
Which I have to say is sort of documentary perspective, right?
Correct.
Like,
Exactly.
I love the documentaries that are like, I'm setting out on this journey,
Right.
come with me.
Come with me.
Yeah.
Because we're going to try to figure out something, I don't know what it is, but it's going to be fun, or maybe not fun, it's going to be hard, or whatever it is.
Right, but you're on the journey
Yes.
with us. Yeah.
And I think documentaries inspired that in me in a way to say, like, how can I do this without answering the question before I start? So anyway, that's that.
Okay.
No, that's
piece of
what was the question that was driving that first book?
the first book was about jellyfish.
Yeah.
And the question was, are jellyfish taking over our oceans? And
Are they?
it's
What'd
really
you find out?
they're doing well. They're
It's a
doing
good time
well.
for the jellyfish.
It's a good time for the jellyfish, but the answer to the question is almost impossible to answer because we don't have a baseline on jellyfish.
Oh.
Yeah, because
Nobody else was looking that closely.
well, in the 20th century, even worse, the way that we studied the oceans was by dragging nets through the oceans, which destroy jellyfish. And sometimes they would even pour bleach on whatever came up in the nets.
Oh, geez.
So they wouldn't get stung by the jellyfish. So we don't have a baseline, but it doesn't mean people aren't still trying to figure it out one way or the other.
Right.
And so that, going and talking to those people, and then along the way, finding out all these amazing things about jellyfish and how cool they are, and they're the oldest animal, their sting is the fastest motion in the animal kingdom. Like, there's just like cool stuff about jellyfish.
Yeah.
So that was that book.
Well, wait a second. That isn't that, because what I read about that book, and I apologize that I haven't read the book,
Yeah.
but is that it's called
Spineless.
Spineless, and it's about you studying the jellyfish while also growing a spine, so
Right.
to speak, and leaving a bad relationship.
Correct.
So you made it personal,
Exactly.
something you were going through,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
use that as a metaphor for the
For-
topic you were studying.
exactly.
That's amazing.
So that
How did that part of the process emerge? I know this question of like wonder and awe and this feminine viewpoint that isn't about establishing your bona fides as an expert, but is about exploring and being
Right.
willing to. When you explore, you have to be willing to get lost, right? You have to be willing.
Yes.
That
Can I just stop right there?
you better.
When you explore, you have to be willing to get lost. That was a tasty little nugget.
Oh yeah,
right
we
there.
can put that on a sign and
I
sell
like
that at Home Goods.
Maybe
You
that's
absolutely could.
maybe
No,
that's the name
good.
of the episode. Willing to get lost.
Maybe
I think that's good. I
Could
like
be.
it.
Okay.
I'm down for it.
we'll see.
Yeah.
You want it to be? That's a cool
What
question.
do you want it to be?
Well, I wanted to. We'll see. We will see.
You guys know each other pretty well.
We've already been lapped by this lady, by the way, and that makes me feel slow. Yes.
Yeah,
few
that's
times
okay.
now.
But back to my incredible statement. To explore, you have to be willing to get lost. But so when you, again, just like before, my questions are always, not always, but what I'm most interested in is when people make that moment of realization and that transition occurs where you go from saying, this is a book about jellyfish,
Yeah.
to this is a book about my spine and the spine of my life
Yeah.
story at that moment, and becomes a memoir. And I don't want to gloss over that realization in you and
Yeah.
the boldness that it takes to say, oh, I want people to learn what I'm learning about jellyfish, but I need to share this metaphor, this allegory that also ties so deeply into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, is there a moment that
And the vulnerability to be personal, right?
Right.
To like bring your personal life to the
Yeah,
story.
there's sort of two moments I can think of that were really pivotal for that. One is I had a roommate in college. Her name is Margaret Stoll. She's a crazy good writer. She's written, I don't know, a dozen books. And she was coming through town on a book tour, actually. And I met her for breakfast over at the Omni Hotel.
Okay.
And I sort of admitted to her that I was writing this book about jellyfish. And it was, that's like a straight crazy thing to say, like, I'm writing a book about jellyfish. And so I sort of said it, and it was like super deprecating. I was like, oh gosh, Margie, I have something to tell you. I'm writing this book about jellyfish. And she just like grabbed me with her eyes and was like, write the worst book you can write, but write it. And I think that's like such a good piece of advice for anyone doing anything creative.
Yes.
Is
right.
like, get your inner critic out of the way, do the worst job you can do, but do it,
Yeah.
And that came back to me so many times.
Wow, that's beautiful.
For like allow yourself to just do it.
Yes, let yourself be bad. I think
Let yourself be bad,
that's so
right?
important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
again allow preparing being willing to be lost is part of that process,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
But how does that become though?
The
Like,
getting lost.
yeah, well, no. How does that become like lifting the lid on your own personal?
Right.
Here we are. We're on the north side of Ladybird Lake, and we were just talking about the moment of realization that gives you both inspiration, but also maybe permission
To go out and get lost,
to
basically.
and to include your story in a
to
personal
include-
way
yeah.
in a book that starts out as a scientific,
Right.
exploration.
Well, there was definitely this, I can't write a book like that.
Right.
Was one piece of it. And then the other, I mean, this is so trite, but I had a dream, And,
Like a literal dream?
a
or-
literal dream. It's so trite. There was a scientist in California, a jellyfish scientist, who, I can't remember exactly what was going on, but I wanted to interview him, and he was kind of being difficult about it, I think.
Because he was gatekeeping his little corner of the
Yeah.
jellyfish world.
Is it safe to say
Yeah.
he was being fishy?
No.
It's not safe at all. That's
See, I'm telling you, you guys switched roles.
yeah.
The
No, well,
bad
I don't.
jokes
I never
are
did that. I never. Come on.
Come on, that was decent. That all right. That, okay, my wife would agree with you, but
He was being, no. Anyway, but I can't remember. He wrote me some email.
Grow a backbone.
Right, exactly.
Come on,
he
Ben.
wrote me some
oh, you'll allow that one. I'm
Grow
sorry,
that
I'm
back.
cutting you off horribly.
No, that's
Please.
okay.
It's specific to the subgenre of fish. It's not just like we're talking about oceanic wildlife. We're talking about invertebrates, specifically.
We are talking about invertebrates. That's true.
So okay.
Okay.
So, sorry, I apologize.
I'm trying to remember this moment because you guys, it was a while ago now. But anyway, I think he wrote me some email that was pushing back against something I was trying to ask for.
Okay.
And it said something about, enjoy the journey at the end, or something about the journey. And I was like, and anyway, that was what I think I got a fever that night. And I had this weird dream, and I woke up in the middle of, it's so trite, it's embarrassing, but I woke up in the middle of the fever with a dream that was like, you know what, I'm already on the journey. I don't have to like go on a journey. Like, I'm already on it. And it was in that moment I was like, okay, I gotta go to Japan. So I went to, and I went to Japan to find the giant jellyfish, the biggest one in the world. I expected more from that. That's the other thing about the book, I think, that I was able to say is I found the giant jellyfish. And it was sort of one of those moments, it felt more cinematographic than it did anything, because the jellyfish just died in front of me.
Oh.
And it was like a sad gasp. And that was the end of that part of the book. And it's the kind of thing that works really well in film and is kind of harder in writing.
Yeah. That is not how I was expecting the story to end. I thought you were going to find the huge jellyfish and then came
And
to
you get
some
to swim with it
amazing
and this whole thing.
conclusion
Yeah,
about the
no,
state of the world
that's
and
not
your
what
personal
happens.
life.
That's not what happens.
And so it dies, and then
I have to see.
what do you do?
And then you have to figure out how to keep going with the book and what you're trying to say. And that's part of the job of nonfiction, you know?
That's absolutely the job of nonfiction, is when the jellyfish dies.
What do you do
What do you
next?
do
You
next?
just
Yeah.
have to keep going.
I'm already on the journey. That's a good title for this episode. But also is I found the giant jellyfish and the jellyfish died.
There's a lot of
There's options, and that's why I don't like committing too early to a title, because you want to keep your options open, just like the nonfiction journey that you were on, right? Like you went there with an outcome in mind,
Yes.
and then reality slapped you in the face and said, "This isn't
You
it."
had that happen. You had that in the Winnebago movie.
Oh yeah, I've had that
Yeah.
happen in every documentary.
yeah.
Honestly,
Yes.
I mean, because I make docs in a very similar way, where I start out on a journey and I say, "Come with me on this journey. I don't know
Yeah.
how it's going to end," and I love that as a viewer. And
Right.
it's terrifying as a filmmaker who is spending money and
Exactly.
time
Exactly.
and resources, trusting and hoping that the story turns out in some sort of
Right.
resolute and interesting and entertaining way.
Exactly.
So I relate deeply. Like, had I done that and the jellyfish died, I would have been like, oh no, this is now a short film rather than a feature. So what did you do? How did you keep going?
I mean, well, it turned out I figured out that the structure of the book was based on a jellyfish life cycle.
Oh.
And so the Medusa does die. That's like part of what happens to the Medusa is really like an apple in a jellyfish's life. And so its whole point is, because I should,
What is the Medusa? We took a left turn into mythology, and I got lost.
And also, wait a second. Look at this. thing.
right?
That was a good technique.
Is that that's a
He does.
kayak?
That
It's
is
a recumbent-
paddling kayak.
A recumbent sup, a sit,
A recumbent sup.
a sit sup.
A sit
sit-sup.
sup.
That's very cool.
Is it? I don't know that cool would be.
He doesn't look cool. I'm not even sure he feels
Totally agree
cool.
with you. I take it back.
I bet.
It's jaunty, though. We have to admit that.
It is jaunty, and I bet he's having a blast. But just looking at that, I wouldn't say that's.
No, there's no. You're right. That's not cool. The guys who zoom around a foot off the water, you know, those dudes who surf like a foot off the water.
yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Oh, and the foils.
On the foil.
Yeah, the foils.
Those,
Those are cool.
Yeah.
this is not cool. You're right. This looks a little like a.
But that guy is living a great life. He's at it this morning,
Yeah.
Yes.
and
He's got an exercise.
yeah,
You know what? Good
And
for
he's
him.
enjoying.
good for him.
Good for him.
Enjoying this beautiful January day.
Julie, what is a Medusa?
Oh, yeah. So basically, jellyfish have this like really weird life cycle where, okay, they make a little larvae that it looks like a piece of rice with cilia on it. And it settles down. And then it grows into a polyp, which is like a sea anemone. And then it can divide into like a field of those. And then it does this crazy thing called strobilation where the sea anemone will slice itself horizontally into like a stack of pancakes. And then the top little piece with the tentacles on it starts to like wiggle and wiggle and wiggle and pops off, and it becomes a little snowflake. And so the snowflake is called an ephira, and it's a baby jellyfish. And then the next one pops off, and they all pop off.
That's
so like
how jellyfish are made, like a Roman
Yeah.
candle.
Yeah,
What?
And how many jellyfish come out of this?
about a couple dozen. And so that's why you see jellyfish in blooms,
Right.
because
Blooms are groups of jellyfish.
Yes.
Okay.
Because one polyp can become a couple dozen ephira, which are the snowflakes. And then the ephira eat and grow and become medusa, which are the adult jellyfish. And then they release their eggs and sperm, which become larvae.
An
and then
individual is a Medusa, or the group of adults are a
they're
Medusa?
just one jellyfish. Like, because think about Medusa, the mythological, she was like, the tentacles are like snakes, right?
Right.
So she's like a head with like snakes coming off of her. That's where probably the idea for Medusa came from. And then also they can sting you, and some of their stings can be paralytic. So, you know, Medusa
Turn to stone.
Turn to stone.
Right.
So there, all of that.
You are
So-
absolutely the first guest to explain
jellyfish life
and the
cycle.
jellyfish are born and created. So I'm very grateful for that. That was awesome.
So basically, so the book became structured around the jellyfish life cycle. So like the initial idea was the larvae. The polyp stage was me kind of sitting here in Austin, looking out into the world of jellyfish with my tentacles and trying to learn more about them, their science. And then the strobilation was the fever dream, where I like popped off and went off to Japan. And that was my kind of baby jellyfish, like this didn't turn out the way I thought it was going to turn out. And then I end up in Spain with a bunch of senior jellyfish scientists, and that's the mature Medusa stage. And so that's kind of the structure of the book.
But what's happening for you personally? So when you end up in Spain, are you meeting?
I'm with my husband by that point.
Oh,
So
cool.
things are good.
Great.
So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. But to get back to the movie.
Yes. Before we do that, can we
yes.
just talk for a second? 'Cause
So these
I
are
think
coots. I was about to say
Yeah.
coots are kind of like that recumbent sitter dude.
Okay.
Right?
Watch your
Like,
step,
look
watch your
how
step.
look how they swim. They're not cool. They're like the least cool duck. But they kind of remind me of that dude out here enjoying his day.
Yeah.
He's
Maybe
an
not
old
being
coot too.
super-
That's probably where the name comes from.
He's a what?
An old
He's
coot.
an old coot. Okay, that was really good. Okay, that was excellent.
Oh, Keith gets that's really good.
Not the first time. Not the first time.
I'm doing it in this
Keith
podcast.
a few
compliments.
Giving him some compliments.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
I see.
gonna
I
have
see,
to
Juli.
even it out.
I'll just remind you, I bought the coffee.
You did buy the coffee. Thank you. It was delicious.
Okay, so Ben, this is a spot.
I come
is a
here with
gorgeous spot.
my children, and
I'm gonna widen out and get a better shot as
okay,
Ben
it's
tells a
beautiful.
story.
we call it our hideout.
Yeah, I
And-
like that.
And I want to know from a marine biologist, I fully understand we're not looking at the ocean. This is Ladybird Lake, that is a dammed river.
That's correct.
But I want to know what you see when you look around here.
So this is called duckweed. This,
Okay.
where the coots are swimming around it, and it's actually a plant, which is really neat. And you can take a snorkel mask and go into Barton Springs, and you can see they make their flowers underwater, which
Really?
is so neat. And
Oh,
they're
that's
little
so
white
cool.
flowers.
They're white. Okay.
They're little white flowers. They're not flowering right now. They flowered in November. And then they release their pollen into the water, which is super crazy, you know?
Yeah, because you
think of it as an air thing, right?
exactly. Yeah, not.
So duckweed is cool, but people don't, it definitely jams up the lake and stuff. So I think there's removal that they do of this weed.
One question for you.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter often wants to stick her feet in, and I'm always like,
I think it's fine.
you think so?
Well, right now it's definitely fine. Once it's been cold and had like a freeze, it's fine.
Okay.
But in the summer, I agree with you. There is in this lake something called cyanobacteria, and it's especially bad. There's some more coots. It's especially bad over by the dam up there. What's it called? Redbud Isle.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I used to let my dogs swim in this lake, but no more because of the cyanobacteria, which can be.
And that's like when we
toxic.
see when the city puts out like advisories, don't let the dogs
Yeah.
drink the water. That's what they're
That's
advising
what they're
against.
advising against.
Okay.
But it likes warm temperatures, so when it's been cold, it's fine. But your daughter may not want to put her feet in the cold water.
That's usually what I usually just avoid the whole thing. Say we're not going to do that.
Ben, what does your family call the spot?
We call this our hideout.
I like it.
I like that you call it a hideout, but it has an official name, and it's a pretty badass one. Welcome to the Puum Temple and Voodoo Pew.
Wow.
It is an awesome name. That's really good. The Opossum Temple.
Voodoo
Pew.
Wow.
This is from 1993, Austin, which is like,
Yes.
there was a lot of voodoo going on back in the early 90s.
Can I ask a question also?
Yeah.
Do we have possums or opossums?
Well, you're the scientist. And what's the
Yes.
difference?
I honestly don't know, but I was just thinking about it. I'm not very good with vertebrates
I would
or
not.
land animals.
Were it me, I would not spell it that way.
I would say possum.
Correct.
I think we have possums in Texas.
Yes. But are we just leaving the O silent when we do that?
No, I think they're two different animals. Then I'm not sure. I mean, we have an answer in our pocket that
We
we're not
sure
going to do that.
Yeah, and I agree with
So-
Keith.
I'm a little worried that answer is a possum. Are you keeping a possum in
think
your pocket? No, folks, she's just happy to see us. Let's come over here to this bench.
Oh, don't give him that one.
No,
Don't give him
This
that
area here is in memory of Tom Scheffelman. Who's Tom Scheffelman? Well, he was born in 27. He died in 16. He's an
long life.
architect, an
Nice
urban
long
planner,
life.
an artist, a husband, a father, and a trail walker.
one. Wow.
He's one of us.
He's one. Okay. Tom
True.
Scheffelman.
Here's Scheffelman. Julie, I want to talk about the creative life, and I want to talk about the life of the creative, nonfiction,
While we walk. Yeah, that's all right.
sustaining a creative life, growing a creative life, indulging a creative life. These are all things that I'm interested in, and I'm going to focus this broad section of inquiry into a question of accountability. How do you maintain accountability as a creative, science-based, nonfiction storyteller in this world today?
Do you mean like telling the truth accountability or keeping at it accountability?
More keeping at it, but I'm
Okay,
always
okay.
interested in telling the truth as well.
Keeping at it. I think the best thing to do is to have accountability partners. When I was writing my books, I had a writing group and we were really disciplined about it, I would say. And I'll tell you the structure of it in case there's anyone else
This
who
is
wants
exact-
to put one together.
This is exactly what I want to hone in on. Yes.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So we mostly had between, I would say, 4 to 6 people in the group. Every week someone would submit something to read, and if it could be anything of your choice. So you were required to read it before we met. We would get together, and that same person who submitted would have to bring a prompt.
Like a question.
A prompt,
Okay.
like a writing prompt, basically.
okay.
So like it could be a poem, it could be a saying, it could be a movie, a little clip of a movie, it could be a song, it could be anything, a prompt, something to inspire. So basically we would get together, we would check in with each other, and that we would actually set a timer so that people didn't go over, a 4-minute timer, usually. And you would just say, how was your writing life going this week? And that was it. And we would go around the room. So, but with 6 people, that takes like half an hour.
Yep.
And then,
Wait a second. Sorry to interrupt.
yes.
We are
Oh, we
being
have more
passed
recumbents.
Look at these
2 recumbents.
sit suppers on wheels.
Wow. I think those are some old coots.
Rolling those rolling sit suppers.
Maybe that's the title, some old coots.
Some old coots.
I hope not.
Wow.
No, I think we deserve a little better than that.
Okay. So we would check in for check-in, and then the person would submit their prompt, whatever it was, and then we would set another timer and we would write for 20 minutes.
Great.
And just write.
So this
Whatever
is
came up.
a writing group once a week.
Yeah, it was kind of 3 times a month-ish. You know,
Sure.
everyone needs a break.
In person?
In person.
At a coffee shop, at a home,
Yeah, we would vary, but mostly at a home.
and only one person has to submit a writing sample each week to
Yep.
to kind of judge, to
For
judge,
everyone to read.
for everyone to read,
Yeah.
for everyone to critique and tear
Yes.
apart.
So there was the check-in, there was the writing prompt, and then there was the critique of the writing sample. And that was it. It takes a while, you know, it's like an hour and a half kind of situation. A half an hour kind of for each piece. And actually, if people wanted to read what they had written, people could during the prompt keys,
Right.
they could do that too. So anyway, that was also a big part of what you brought up before, Keith, was like, I started writing memoir pieces during those times instead of writing science stuff or even journalism stuff, like for the magazine. I started to write about myself. And at first that was super hard and embarrassing, and I didn't have a voice. I was super awkward. But as I practiced it week after week after week, and sort of was forced to because of these accountability people in my life, it got better. And I started to be like, oh, I'm learning how to write about myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that,
Okay.
you know,
Seeing what's working, what
Yeah.
feels good,
Yeah.
how other people are responding.
yeah, exactly.
And you know what's
Exactly. How are other people responding?
Yeah.
For sure. Yes.
What's interesting to me about that and what I hear in that description is that often when people are just starting out, they say, the question is like, what do I focus on? And most people will say, well, focus on yourself, focus on the thing
Yeah.
that you know about, that you
Yeah.
have access to. And so
That's really intimidating a lot of the times, though, right?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. It sounds like it kind of took you gaining the confidence almost to think of yourself as a creative person.
Yes, exactly.
To then
Yes.
have the what am I trying to say? Like the desire to
right.
write about yourself. Yeah.
And I think that there is something about people who are attracted to nonfiction hiding behind the facts, hiding behind the story that's in front of you.
Right.
That is, there's a safety there, right? So I think I definitely did that. 100% I did that. You know?
That's really insightful. Hiding behind the story in front of you.
Yeah.
I like that.
It cuts both ways. It cuts both ways because I dabble. I have 1 foot in nonfiction and 1 foot in fiction. And what I've come to realize is like they scratch different itches, and they both have fear and avoidance and walls that you create for yourself. You know, like absolutely in nonfiction, you get to hide behind the facts, and you also get to justify the existence of the story because it's true. And you don't have to win people over that, hey, my ego-based decision to tell you something is valid, right? Like when you make something that's pure fiction or art for art's sake, you have to kind of convince people in a way that you have the right to like take their time.
Oh, that's an interesting, yes.
But when the story's true, you kind of get away with it, right? Like in docs, it's the subject matter. So like, it's almost like it's putting the carrot in the carrot cake.
Right,
you know.
But there is, I think, you know, I'm trying to think about this, like, look what I chose. I chose jellyfish and coral. I chose like the least charismatic of all the animals.
That's right.
You know, that don't even have eyes. So although they can see. But, you know, anyway, the point is I chose the animals that were really easy to hide behind. And so I don't know what I'm trying to get at right now, but you made me think of something and I can't express it. So clearly I'll stop. There's something about even things that are real, you sometimes do have to convince people they're worth their time.
Oh no, totally.
I think that's what I was trying to get to.
No, that's totally right. That's totally right. Like well, that's what I mean. It's like they're different. They check different boxes, and so there's a certain person that will read your nonfiction with no interest from the outside about your personal memoir portion of it.
That's correct. 100%.
But then they'll find themselves drawn in, and they'll say, "Oh, I love this."
And then people skip the science and just read the memoir part.
That's right. And then there's certain people that don't want to like engage with nonfiction because what they want is to escape into personal reality.
Right.
That then when you kind of squeeze some of those facts and those truths, more than the facts, the truths, right? Like the actual analysis that goes with nonfiction writing, because it's not nonfiction isn't just Wikipedia entries with a list of, right? It's,
exactly.
But I want to get back to accountability and so this accountability group.
I think the accountability group is super duper important. The other thing is something I read from Elizabeth Gilbert.
Yeah.
Do you know her?
Yep. Well, she's not Elizabeth Kolbert, who I don't like.
No, she's a love. She's not.
But when Ben, I like to.
You guys, Elizabeth Kolbert,
I like
going to
to
listen to this someday, and I'm going to be just like blackballed from everything.
That's right. Well, she can reach out to us. She can find us at docwalks.com or on Instagram at docwalks, and she can air her grievances publicly. She can demand equal time.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
And we will see if we will grant it. But
if she's famous.
But when it comes to Elizabeth Gilbert, Elizabeth Gilbert is also, she's welcome because I like to eat and I like to love.
And
Ben likes to pray.
That's true.
Oh, wow. So there's a book she wrote about creativity. I think it's called Big Magic.
It is, yes.
And she said, you have to like get dressed up and go on a date with your project. And so every day you need to, well, she said sometimes she would like get dressed up and sit down and write like she was going on a date, which gives your project a certain amount of legitimacy or like priority in your life, right? So that's an important thing. And then I found for me, I would even like when I had small kids and I didn't have, my life got crazy, I would just touch base with my project in my mind every day, even because I had like another job and you know, my jellyfish project maybe wasn't my job. I would just be like, I'm thinking about you today, guys, you know, like you're still in my life. And so I think that like touching base with your projects every day, even if you don't have enough time to work on them, helps with that accountability thing too.
I love that.
Okay, so
No, I love that. And I was excited to talk about this. I am in an Artist Way group, and we have a very similar, not exactly the same,
Yeah.
but a similar kind of, we are not in person. There's 3 people in Portland, a guy in LA, 3 people in New York, a guy in Bangkok, and me here in Austin.
Wow.
And we have a weekly Zoom call. But it's similar, like we start out, we do our check-ins, kind of 5 minutes a person, takes about a half hour to get through. And then we have prompts that we take from the book, The Artist's Way, little writing tasks. What we don't do, the only part of it that we don't do at all, is we don't actually share our work. And there is no critique. There is no accountability in the sense of like nailing productivity or progress.
yeah,
It's more kind of like creatively nutritious, but non-critical in that way. And I'm back and forth on whether that's the path to maintain, or whether I need like a separate accountability partner to kind of say, hey, did you fucking get those pages done? So, okay, well, creative accountability, just to kind of wrap up like your thoughts on creative accountability and living a creative life. I just wanted to say, I absolutely love the idea of just, you said take your projects on a date, check in with your projects each day.
Yeah.
Any other kind of creative maintenance you could share with our audience?
Yeah, the other thing that I do when I have, I'm like not, and I'm struggling, I do set a timer. And I sit down and I set it for 20 minutes. Somehow 20 minutes seems to be like the time. And just say, I'm gonna sit in my chair and do this thing for 20 minutes that I'm not wanting to do or afraid of doing or whatever it is. And then at the end of the 20 minutes, like magically, my mind is more in what I'm trying to do. So I don't know, sometimes the timer can be your friend. That's
And
my last little bit of.
Do you stick, when 20 minutes is up, do you say, fuck this, I'm done, or do you keep moving?
You can, you're allowed to.
Yeah.
Well, you can do whatever you want, obviously, but like for me, it seems to be kind of a thing. Like sit in the chair for 20 minutes, get your fingers on the keyboard, do this thing. Don't, turn off the email and don't let yourself go on any more research trips, and just do your work. And
Yeah.
that seems to work. I don't know if it give it a try.
Yeah.
So, like,
There's a screenwriter.
you're not
and-
going to lose anything by trying it,
That's right. No, that's a quick and easy.
Yeah.
There's a screenwriter and a podcaster that I take inspiration from, is a guy named John August, who hosts a screenwriting podcast called Script Notes, and he's written a bunch of big movies. But he does what you're doing. He calls them sprints.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
and he's a pretty public facing guy with like a lot of followers on Instagram and Twitter, especially, where he'll go on and he'll kind of announce, he's like, I'm going to do a sprint
Yeah.
today at noon. Who wants to join me?
Yeah.
And there will be like an accountability group that's like emerges, totally organically, and a couple hundred people or a couple dozen. I don't know how many
That's
people.
impressive.
And I've seen it sometimes. I'm like, just now?
Just
now
do
I
it.
gotta
Yeah,
do
just
it.
do it. Just do it.
But you're saying the answer is yes. when
The
that
answer
comes
is
up.
yes,
Uh-huh.
or just do it yourself.
Yeah.
So-
All right. Well, we are rounding our walk around Ladybird Lake. We spent some time with some old coots.
Some recumbent coots.
That's the episode title.
Oh my God, no.
Recumbent Coots. That's so good.
I think our friend Juli deserves better than recumbent coots. Personally, but we'll see. The jellyfish died, Ben. The jellyfish died.
The jellyfish died. That's sad.
The
though.
Jellyfish Died is
then
a
what
sad
do we
title.
do?
I would just say that were I scrolling through podcasts and I saw one with the title Recumbent Coots, that would pique my interest. I would maybe stop and listen to that podcast.
I mean, all I'll say is, if the jellyfish died, the question I want to answer is how? How did the jellyfish die?
That's true. They die. They just do. But anyway.
Well,
like-
that's it. That's it, Keith.
Yeah,
They just
exactly.
die.
We all
Sorry.
die, but,
Well, let's bring it back to the Rebel Reef documentary that we started to
Yeah.
talk about, because I know that is near and dear to your heart.
Yeah.
You shared that with us before the walk. You are now leading this nonprofit to save a coral reef in Honduras.
Correct.
Is
Yep.
that right?
Yep, yep.
And the documentary profiles that effort. Is that how would you
Yeah.
describe the doc?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, the documentary, just like a little to set the stage for this whole thing. So my second book was about coral reefs, And after, it's called Life on the Rocks, let me plug it. And so there was, after that book came out, this guy from Honduras contacted me and he was like, you have to come see my coral reef because it's really healthy. And I said, impossible, because half the coral reefs in the world have died. It's a tough story, more than the jellyfish. It's a tough story. But I went down there because he was really persistent, and he was correct in that this place was like diving into the 1970s. And the coral there are strangely healthy. And no one had studied it. There hadn't been any science. No one knew why. It's literally where the Banana Republic started. So in 1910, they put in banana docks in this bay. And no one had looked at the coral there because no one expected there to be coral in this place that had been polluted by plantations for over 100 years. And the coral are just magnificent there. So it's the strangest place. I started the nonprofit so that we could try to get science and storytelling into this place to try to understand why the coral are thriving and also protect the coral from all the bad things that can happen to coral. And, you know, we immediately decided, well, a documentary is a way to do this. And we were lucky enough to win funding through a travel magazine to make a documentary. And then the question became, what is the story? And there's one dive officer in this town. His name is Christian Carias. And he is just a lovely person. He's always got this like crazy positive attitude. And we thought telling the story of the coral through Christian's voice would be really a nice way to approach this story. And we were working on the script, and we knew it was going to be short because we didn't win that much money. And but anyway, Christian tells us the story about how he was once in this horrible.
Well, little did you know, you didn't even know about this going into it.
No.
And this is what grabbed me about the film. I know I cut you off. I'm going to let you pick it back up.
No, it's okay.
But just in the same way that your book is the the integration of science and scientific inquiry and human emotional exploration and really stories of overcoming.
Right.
The story of Christian and the way that the documentary kind of married those two storylines just really grabbed me.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what, you know, we were hoping. We had been to a coral conference right before we won the award to make the documentary, and there was a film session of all these coral scientists trying to make coral films, right? Films about the coral reefs. And they were all kind of the same, you know? They were all sort of, our reef is dying, here's what we're doing, this is the science behind it. And we got done with that huge session, except for this one group from Tahiti, which are worth checking out. These guys are so badass. But they're called Coral Gardeners, if anyone wants to go watch their shorts. They have a whole doc. I think they have 9 people on staff at their marine biology lab to do their films, and they're so cool. But anyway, we were like, we didn't want to do that. We knew we didn't want to do the same thing, and we wanted to tell a story. And so when Christian kind of told us the story of what had happened to him and how the ocean had healed him after this accident, like all of the other writers, there's 3 people, the producer, the director, and me, we were all on the Zoom call together, and we were just crying, and we were like, okay, I think this is our story, you know? And so that's how that kind of came together.
Wow, and you know, the other thing I love, in addition to what Keith pointed out, is that the documentary, like I mentioned on the bridge, it has this very hopeful ending, and the way that it's shot magnifies that hopeful message, because the whole documentary is very crafted. It's very beautifully shot. The camera's often static. The shots are composed. And then the camera's with you in the lab at the moment that you find that the reef is actually growing.
Right.
And the camera then suddenly is panning around and getting different close, and you're seeing a very like unvarnished, structured shot, which feels very exciting. And I liked that structure of the doc.
Oh,
and
great.
it kind of added to that note of hopeful like inspirational message at the end.
I want to say we got really lucky with our director of photography. His name's Patrick Crum. He just got attached to the project at the very last, not the very last minute, but maybe just like a month before we were going down to shoot. And he just had a real great vision for what he wanted. I think he elevated the film with his cinematography in a way that we were blown away by. And then the other thing that happened was a guy named Chad Cannon reached out to us, to me. Actually, he read my book, another guy who read my book about coral, and he wanted to talk about coral and the ocean. It turns out he's a violinist and composer, and he'd done the scores for lots of docs.
I saw that American Factory was
American Factory, and he did Join or Die, which is an Austin-connected doc. And he's...
Is that the one about Amazon going?
No, it's
Union?
about...
That's Union.
Union.
No, this one is about how clubs will save us.
Third places and joining social clubs and...
Like bowling, the guy who wrote Bowling for... What did he write?
Oh, Bowling Alone?
Bowling Alone. He's the center of that documentary.
Okay.
So Chad had done that score also, so Chad did our score as well, which turned out to, I think, really help the movie a lot too.
Well, and while we're talking about the different crew members, tell us just a little bit about the director and the producer you worked with.
Yeah, the director is named Bryn Rardon, and she's actually finishing up her master's at American in Film right now. But she's done a bunch of films in the Himalayas and Chesapeake Bay, and so she was the director. And then the producer is my partner in the nonprofit, Tiffany Duong, and she really, produced the film like in the most hands-on possible way.
Amazing.
So yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we're here at the end of our walk, and we like to do a lightning round
Okay.
with our guests.
Okay.
So you're a very interesting person to ask this next question to, which is, what is the documentary that got you interested in making documentaries? But I think in your case, we should maybe ask nonfiction work. Was it a book? Was it a movie? Was it an article?
The gateway drug.
One of the gateway nonfiction books was The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, which is probably about 15 years old now. It was a book about the cells that are they're called HeLa cells. They're the most used cells for studying cancer. But it was the story of the woman who had produced those cells herself. And she was a Black woman who wasn't even given health care and basically supports our health care system in perpetuity through her cells today.
Wow. And when did you read this?
I must have read it in 2014, 15, something like that.
So around the time you would have been writing for National Geographic and sort of coming of age as a nonfiction storyteller.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So, and I thought that telling the story of Henrietta Lacks along with the science that she supported was, it was really brilliant. And there's one scene in there that's almost like a trippy scene where the HeLa cells, when they're stained with, biological stains, they look like, celestial being. And so the writer, Rebecca Skloot, lets herself go there and lets herself kind of be expansive with this idea of like, Henrietta is like literally this kind of
the universe to herself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of that was the gateway drug.
That's a good answer. You want to do the next one?
Sure. What advice do you have for an emerging storyteller? Most of our episodes are pretty documentary film focused, and obviously you have a connection and are making documentary work, but it seems like your at least your first love or your entry point into nonfiction storytelling is journalism that then becomes journalism mixed with memoir.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, what advice would you share with an emerging voice who wants to kind of follow that sort of path?
Write the worst thing you can do. Do the worst thing you can do. Just do it.
But we're gonna credit your friend for that one.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm gonna ask for a Juli Berwald original.
What is mine? I think it's practice. I think it's got to be practice. And if it's not good, just keep going is definitely, I'm a pretty regimented person with my work, and I think that's a good thing to do. Just kind of keep going, keep revising, and give yourself time. If it's not good right now, maybe if you put it away for a week or two, still touch base with it. But sometimes when you come back just a week or two later, you know what's wrong. And so I think time can be your friend.
Oh, okay. Oh, I like that. Time can be your friend. Perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, and then the last one is, what can you not stop thinking about right now?
What can I not stop thinking about right now? Well,
Oh, this is gonna be good.
Okay, so it's a little bit of a long story, but Chad Cannon, the composer.
The composer for Rebel Reef.
Yeah. So he has committed to helping us raise $100,000 to build the first marine biology lab on the mainland of Honduras to study these corals.
Sweet.
And he has also, so we've been doing these concerts with him. I've been a concert producer. It's called Music for the Ocean, and it's violin and piano. And we did one actually at the State Theater in November, and it's an amazing show. And
which one does Chad play, violin or piano?
He plays violin. And so I think we're gonna book Carnegie Hall today.
Whoa,
Yeah.
Is that right?
Not like Carnegie. Okay, wait.
The last thing she told us was practice. We asked her what advice she had. She said practice, and she followed it up by booking Carnegie Hall. What a world we live in, guys.
Talk about burying the lead here, Julie.
Wait, not the big Carnegie Hall. There's a 700-seat theater.
No, we're gonna cut that part out.
It's
You are booking Carnegie Hall.
Okay, so
This is amazing.
Also, the other thing I can't stop thinking about is that Yo-Yo Ma is really into the ocean right now, and he's been playing cello to try to get whales to talk to him because they speak in the same register, and I really want Yo-Yo to come join us at Carnegie Hall.
Wow, do you hear that, Yo-Yo Ma? If you're
Stop thinking
listening.
about.
That's incredible. Yo-Yo Ma's son is a documentary producer.
Even better.
He is a pretty well-known, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. We have talked about reaching out to him for a project in the past that was cello-based that did not come together.
Yes.
But when you said Yo-Yo Ma is really into the ocean, I just immediately imagined Yo-Yo in a pair of floral jams in the ocean, up to his belly button, playing a floating cello. And so I hope that's the image that you all got. But I just want to say, how do you get to Carnegie Hall, Julie?
You just let the doors open and walk through them.
Okay, that's a different version of the joke. Most people just say practice, but that's right.
I'm supposed to say practice. Okay, go back.
No, I like that. Your answer's better. Your answer's better. Can you say that again?
Practice. No, walk through. No, if the door opens, walk through it.
If the door opens, walk through it.
And I think we just found our episode title. Julie, this is a blast. Thank you so much. Great job. This is so
Thanks,
fun.
you guys. Thanks for inviting me. I know I'm not yes, my world is not totally documentary filmmakers, and gosh, you guys are so talented and so much farther above me. So I do appreciate you let me have this conversation with you.
It took you this long to compliment us this way? You should have started with the...
She's been complimenting me throughout. I think at the end she just came up. She's like, "Oh, Ben's tall. I got to say something. He's so much further above me."
Well, thank you for throwing me a bone, taking pity on me at the end. And what are you talking about? This is a treat. We love talking to you, and you are a kindred spirit. You're telling nonfiction stories and putting yourself into them, so we appreciate that.
Awesome.
Julie, it's been wonderful. We have to credit our good pal Dayton Thompson.
Yes, we do.
Dayton, I like to think that there is a small cadre of listeners out there who are imagining Dayton, who are kind of putting together the pieces on the snuffleupagus that is Dayton.
Yes.
What do people need to know about Dayton Thompson?
Dayton's taller than you think.
Can verify that.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Julie, where can people find your work? You've got 2 books out in the world. You've got a documentary on its way into the world. You've got concert series that are...
So 2 websites, juliberwald.com, and I don't spell my name with the E, so it's just JuliBerwald.com. And then telecoral, TELA, coral.org. and that's the website. And I'm really active on the blogging there. So we're doing all kinds of, I didn't even mention the world's first translocation of coral we did. So there's a lot of stuff there.
It's a whole other podcast.
And we did a virtual reality experience too. So a lot of stuff there, yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we need another hour with Juli. Let's check back in the future. If you are in New York City, check Carnegie Hall's listings
Okay, I
because.
hope I didn't jinx it by saying that stuff out loud.
No. You pushed a door open and we're going to walk through
You
it.
know what? You have to put things into the universe to make them happen.
That's right. And you put it out there,
Yeah.
and it's going to come true. So
Yeah, and Yo-Yo's son's gonna hear this, and he's gonna be like, "Dad, just play the show."
let's do it. Absolutely. And one of our directors in our company shot Yo-Yo Ma all last year. So it sounds like between the three of us,
What?
we have connections to him. So let's like set an intention to make this happen.
I like that.
Bring
Let's
it
do
into
it.
the world.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thanks again, Juli.
Okay, thanks,
This
you
is great.
guys. This was fun.
Next time on Doc Walks, I walk solo with director Isaac Gale. Isaac is a Renaissance man. He is a musician. He is a commercial director. He is a VFX wizard. And he is also the director of the music documentary Swamp Dog Gets His Pool Painted, which took the festival world by storm and was released theatrically by Magnolia Pictures. So you're not going to want to miss next week's episode with director Isaac Gale. Next time on Doc Walks.
Doc Walks is created, produced, and edited by my friend Ben Steinbauer of The Bear.
Hello. And my friend Keith Maitland of Go Valley.
Thanks for tuning in.
Follow us at Doc Walks Pod on Instagram, X, and YouTube.